Alright, well, it looks like it's 1 o'clock, so I'm going to go ahead and respect all of your time. We'll try to keep this within the hour. We may go over a few minutes here, and like I said, there is a lot of ground to cover. But yeah, welcome. We're going to be talking about how we can 10x your audience, increase your audience and your views of you by about 10 times, how to triple your email list, and how to drive more sales in under an hour a day using Facebook ads. And I am excited to present this and share all this information with you guys today. For those of you who don't know me, my name is Jason Wally Waldron. Friends call me Wally the Web Guy here on the internet, and got lots of exciting stuff to share with you. This is a really hot topic, and we've had so many questions asked that I'm going to try to answer all of them. I see some of you on the line here who was writing in the last couple days, and we're going back and forth and you're asking questions, so I made sure to, if you did write in, your questions are answered somewhere throughout the presentation, depending on where they fit in, and if your questions are not answered, we'll figure out a way to get them answered. So lots to cover, and here's what we're going to talk about here today. We're going to talk about on Facebook where to find your perfect audience to sell to. It's actually pretty easy to do once you know what you're doing. So we'll cover that. We'll talk about basically how it's dangerous to rely on the organic reach when you're building your audience. And you know, the organic reach is sort of like what people are doing like a few years ago, where they were just you tag a bunch of people that you know and kind of just try to make a bunch of buzz. And the problem with that, it's just really not predictable, and Facebook can shut you down tomorrow. Talk about the one thing you can do with Facebook ads to explode your email size, your email list size. I will talk about the 6 pitfalls to avoid when you're using Facebook as an advertising source, and I'm going to show you guys how to make sure your campaign is profitable every time. And so it's going to be really exciting. Folks who are going to benefit the most from this, the typical group who works as Wally's Web Stars. So entrepreneurs, business owners, if you've ever asked yourself, hey, how can I generate more sales on autopilot? How can I create more profits in the same amount of time? How can I avoid time-wasting marketing efforts? And big one that I get all the time is, how can I build my list faster now? So talk about this. You know, if you're an information publisher, maybe you're an author, maybe you're a course publisher, maybe you're a service provider, and you know, or maybe you're an e-commerce merchant, and you know, maybe you're all 3 of these things, you're going to be able to get something out of this, and you're going to walk away here by the end of the day finding a new traffic source and kind of seeing where you fit in the mix of things. And more importantly, as we always try to cover, you know, this is not a place where we're really looking for magic tricks. We're looking for, here's what's working for real, here's what I'm seeing working out there, and I want to walk you guys through what'll work for you, and then you can make a decision as to whether that's a good strategy for you or not. And so, you know, the folks who are going to benefit the most from this webinar are going to already have a winning offer. If you don't have one that's already winning, don't worry about that. We'll share tons of things that can help you with that. But of course, if you already have an offer that you know you can send traffic to and it's doing well, you're going to do better just by being here today. Anyone who wants more traffic, and I think all of us, myself included, you know, for the websites that I'm involved with, I'm always looking for more high-quality traffic at a better price, basically, right? And if you want to know more about your audience, and you know, if you're a smart marketer, you always want to know more about your audience because you can serve them better. So if you're curious about any of those things, or you have any of those things, you're going to benefit the most. And so just a quick overview, a little bit about myself here. That's me speaking a couple years back in front of a group of high-level internet marketers and business owners. And you know, of course, people know me online as Wally the Web Guy. And you know, one of my customers actually named me that back in the day. And so that's me talking about 21 ways to create a sales stampede on the internet. That's my book that a lot of folks here on the line have read. And on the internet, of course, I'm internet famous as Wally the Web Guy. You know, as far as that character goes, though, you know, what I've really done over the years is I've taken marketing, and I've taken technology, and even a little bit of mergers and acquisitions, which is outside of the scope of what we'll talk about today, but really built businesses on the internet. And helped folks like you build your business on the internet. And so, I'm known worldwide around, for the authorship of 21 Ways to Create a Sales Stampede on the internet, of course. I'm not just operating Wally the Web Guy. We don't just do agency stuff over here. We actually have a portfolio of companies that we're applying anything that I'm sharing with you on these calls. And I think that's important because you know that I'm out there testing stuff all the time and seeing what works, and then bringing it to you, and then you can make a decision as to if you think it's going to work for you. And the big thing we're going to talk about today is the approach, and that is the continuous improvement approach. And so it's a philosophical thing, and it's really all about what gets measured gets managed, and what gets managed gets improved. And so, professionally, I try to put that into place in all areas, and we'll talk about how that applies specifically to Facebook ads today. And I actually have investment in multiple companies, and most importantly to you on the line here today is that my mission is to help 1,000 entrepreneurs dominate their markets using the internet. And so if that fits with your mission of trying to get your message out and you want to dominate the internet, then we're in a good place here today. And of course, I'm a family guy, love to ski. So speaking of my customers, one of my customers a number of years ago was not Yogi Bhajan, this guy, but if you ever had like Yogi tea, I'm actually drinking some, it's not Yogi tea, but some tea right now. Yogi Bhajan had this saying that I always liked, and that was, what matters never changes and what changes never matters. And one of my customers worked with Yogi Bhajan, and he told me that, and I thought that was pretty cool because if you think about it, the things that always work, the fundamentals, they always work, and so that's the part that matters, right? And that part never changes. And the stuff that changes all the time, some of the specifics we'll actually go into here about Facebook, for instance, it doesn't really matter, and you'll see why as we go through this. But the long and short is because those are just the specifics. Like building a business 20 years ago, in many, many regards, was very different than it was now. And we didn't have Facebook. We had different channels to advertise through and stuff like that. But at the end of the day, the formula was exactly the same as it is today. And what it was, you want to have a product and a service, right? Something of value to offer. You need an audience of people to offer that value to, and then you need conversion. And if you're offering value to your audience and you're converting in a positive manner, then you're good. So that part never changes. And so now we'll dive into some of the specifics of what changes, right? And so it seems simple enough, right? This is the context here. Speaking of the fundamentals, right? This is the context here, and if you've been around me for any time, you've definitely seen this before. But this is the approach that we take, and this is the proven roadmap to achieving the product audience conversion formula. And so this is the master key formula, and you see the traffic stack there up in the upper left-hand corner. That is specifically what we're going to dive deep into today. But the master key formula, of course, is proven and has proven itself again and again for over 15 years now on here's how you build a profitable business on the internet. And so from the traffic stack, you find your new leads, you find your new lead pool and people to get in front of. You bring them into relationship enhancers, things like testimonials, things like case studies. You demonstrate some value to people. You bring them into a prospect siphon, so you put them on your email list, you build your database, and then you automate some of that. So on the bottom there, you see the trust-building automated follow-up sequence, and you have a structured, profitable conversation where you hit different emotional pain points, and you do it in such a way that you're scientifically bringing people through a funnel into irresistible offers. And then from whatever that value is, once they come aboard, the Profit Maximizer is all about taking care of that customer, delivering that value, and doing it in such a way that you can continue to make them a customer for life. And that's really the philosophy here, because if you do that, it becomes a circle, and your customers for life become raving lunatic fans. They bring more traffic into your thing, and they'll come back again and again and again as well. And so that is the formula for creating the sales Stampede. And today we're going to dive deep into one piece of the traffic stack. And you can see there the traffic stack. I mean, without even trying, we come up with about 18 different ways to grab traffic, everything from PPC to social media, YouTube videos, blogging, offline traffic. You know, the list just keeps going and going and going. And so today we'll be talking specifically about Facebook. And so there's some common problems that folks have when they are building their traffic stack. And so, you know, list building comes up again and again and again, and they have a tough time doing it. And, you know, it's one of these things where everybody hears that the money is in the list, but they don't know where to get their list. So we'll address some of that today. Traffic in a general sense, you know, SEO is great, but you know, are you going to commit to what it takes to do that, right? You know, PPC is great, but it's expensive. You know, all these different traffic things are great, but there's always a drawback too. It's a double-edged sword. So we're going to kind of walk through some of these things so you can figure out where your perfect traffic stack lies. And then we're going to talk about conversions, because really conversions is where the ROI is. And so you know, a lot of folks have problems with traffic. They have a lot of problems with list building. They have a lot of problems with conversions. We'll try to solve all those today. And, you know, it's easy to build a website, right? I mean, you know, you can slap up a WordPress site tomorrow. But what's difficult? It's hard and expensive to do a few of these things, right? It's hard to get a list. It's hard to get viewers. It's hard to, let's see what else. It's hard and expensive if you don't know what you're doing. And ultimately, you know, there's the old way. And what that used to be was create a product and market it aggressively. And there's some channel top-down marketing. And someone was just writing in, had a couple questions. I think she was having trouble with the audio and stuff like that. And just so you guys know, we'll try to do a replay on this in case you had some audio problems. But yeah, you know, there's the old way, create a product and market it aggressively, and then there's the channel top-down marketing. So that was like, you know, get a bunch of media buys on NBC and then, you know, do the Columbia House thing. Well, the new way is much, much different. The new way is you get into the conversation that people are already having in their head. Well, how do you do that? You have to listen. You have to put feelers out there. You have to ask questions. It's a perpetual refinement going up this spiral here where, you know, things get better and bigger as you go up, or the other way, you get more and more focused and tighter focused as you go down. But what is the new way? It's a perpetual refinement. It's a never-ending focus group, right? And you think about Wall Street for a second. Wall Street, one of my buddies works at Dow Jones, and this guy tells me some stuff about how, you know, these high rapid-fire, you know, it's all automated trading, it's all computerized. They're basically combing Twitter and getting all of these different inputs from the social sphere in real time and then turning that into trading algorithms. So, you know, we're talking about some strategies here that we'll talk about today that are being used at the highest levels of finance and highest levels of capitalism, and, you know, we'll put it into our functioning businesses and start to work on them. So pretty awesome stuff. Now, having said that, you know, when there are some common mistakes that we see, and we want to address some of those so you can avoid them. And, you know, common mistakes, a lot of these are more of the common mistakes, you know, back to what changes never, or what matters never changes and what changes never matters. You know, not knowing the goals of your advertisement. If you don't know where you're going, how are you going to get there, right? If you target the wrong audience, you know, guys like Dan Kennedy always talked about message to market match, right? The 3 M's. And, you know, targeting the wrong audience, it doesn't matter if you have the best audience ever, you know, it's the selling snow to Eskimos situation. If you target too big of an audience, so maybe it's too broad, you're just throwing your money away and wasted ad spends. What if you're not split testing your ads to constantly ensure you have a winner? That can cost you big time. And of course, targeting too small of an audience can cost you, and we'll kind of share how that works here in a little bit. The key here is, we have a number of people on the line right now, and looking at some of you, I see authors, I see service providers, I saw an e-commerce guy on the line, and a couple folks, I don't know what you do, but your sweet spot, each of your sweet spots is going to be a little bit different, because if you're offering financial planning on the one hand, you're going to be talking to a certain avatar type of person. If you're offering real estate, on the other hand, you're going to be offering and talking to a certain type of person. If you're offering high-end jewelry to somebody, different type of person. So your sweet spot's going to be different, but this should allow you to kind of get a sense for where your sweet spot is and how to find it. And so a mistake when folks go about doing this is, they either don't understand the Facebook platform or they just can't understand it. And part of the Facebook platform challenges that we'll talk about today is just staying on top of their changes. And from our side of the table, we've been running Facebook ads daily for probably 3 years now. And staying on top of Facebook's changes, the kind of conversations that we have on our side of the table sometimes is like, are you kidding me? Did they change this again and again and again? And it's just part of the nature of the beast. And it's basically become a kind of a running joke around here, where it's like, once you find out how to find where that button is on Facebook, they're going to change it. So that's how you know that it must have been working. And so, mistake number one then, going a little bit deeper, is not knowing the goals of your advertisement. So there's 3 types of ads that you want to know about, and this really informs your goals. And so pay-per-click ad in Facebook is all about selling stuff. So if you're an e-commerce person, or if you're selling stuff on Amazon, for instance, could be a book on Amazon, pay-per-click might be something that you'd be interested in doing, depending on where that book or where those products fit in your overall funnel. Another type of ad is the CPM, and that's cost per impressions. And so that's just like spreading awareness. And then Facebook lead ads, that's for capturing leads. So that's shortcutting you a little bit to the building the email database, or just your database in general. Now, mistake number 2 is targeting the wrong audience. And what happens when you do this is, so ads are shown, money is spent, but nobody clicks. And that's like, nowadays, even 10 years ago, you could still get away with being a newspaper and showing a bunch of ads, spending a bunch of money in a newspaper. You felt like you were doing something. Nowadays, newspapers are all consolidating, going out of business, because we know that we can track down to the click whether or not our stuff is working. And so Facebook actually takes it to a whole nother level. If you're targeting the wrong audience with something that that audience doesn't like, you're fighting Facebook, because Facebook's job is to have an interesting place for people to visit on the internet and keep you there as long as possible. So if you show the wrong ad to the wrong people, you'll start getting negative feedback, because Facebook doesn't want you doing it. And then actually, if you do it too much, they will ban you. And it makes sense if you think about what Facebook's trying to do. They want to create this environment where you're seeing nothing but stuff that is interesting to you. So if you fight Facebook, you will lose. And so they will, in a good case scenario, you get negative feedback. In a less good case scenario, you get the slap on the wrist and they shut down your ads. So they kind of warn you. You do too much, they just kick you off. Now that's bad. Now the antidote to that, on the other hand, is to ask the right questions so you can know your audience, where to find them. And I'll take you through an exercise on how to do that here in a few minutes. And really just do your research. And another thing here, we mentioned the book 21 Ways to Create a Sales Stampede on the Internet. I know a number of you on the line today in the presentation actually have this sitting on your shelf somewhere, and it's a great choice, because one of the antidotes is to know your audience and where to find them. And so there's an exercise in 21 Ways to Create a Sales Stampede on the Internet about crafting your USP and going through the unique 10% exercise. And we've had some great results from people going through those exercises, of course, but it's applicable to all these different areas, and that's what's so cool about it. So then from there, the next mistake that people make is they do the too big of an audience. Well, what happens when you do that is that the ads are shown, you spend a bunch of money, but nobody clicks. So in that scenario, the audience is way too broad. And you're almost just doing broadcast advertising again, which is kind of exactly express against the purpose of this type of platform. And so you're just getting junk traffic, basically. Now, what you want to do to fix that is you want to niche down. And again, I'll kind of walk you guys through an exercise on how to do that a little bit in a couple minutes here. And it's all about finding that sweet spot. And so just like how the traffic stack for each individual business is a little bit different, your sweet spot here in the niche, niching down of an audience sweet spot on Facebook, is going to be like not too big, not too small. You want to get right in there. And here's what happens if you target too small of an audience. I love that picture. It's just this guy freaking out about his bill, right? You're not going to get enough clicks, and then you're just going to have this ad cost become astronomical. And this was one of the first mistakes that we made internally here, actually, with our own ads. And for what it's worth, we spent a good 2.5+ years, probably about 2.5 years, prototyping and optimizing a lot of these systems and strategies. And I could have been out there promoting myself as a Facebook guru if I was one of these guru of the month type people, but it's not really how things around here. And so for our own website spaces and our own portfolio, we spent about 2.5 years kind of getting all of this stuff dialed in before I was comfortable enough sharing it with you guys. And so this was one of the first mistakes that we were making. And I remember like looking at this bill and just being like, what are we all doing here? And we realized we were targeting too small of an audience. And what happens when you do that is you go through the audience too quickly, and that's why it gets so expensive. So you have to do all these like goofy things, like you have to constantly change your ads every day, and you have to find new lead pools. And you can see on the bottom there for a small, lean and mean business, it's super time intensive. And even if we're a big business, we want to be lean and mean. So it's just like time is such a valuable resource. You can't be wasting it. And so the antidote to all this is to target smartly, and then you'll be in a much better situation. So key here again is everybody's sweet spot is different. It's usually not too big and it's not too broad, it's not too small and it's not too niched, it's somewhere in the middle. So probably not too big of a surprise there. It's always the truth always seems to be somewhere in the middle, right? So another mistake that we see a lot of folks making is they don't split test their ads, and this type of advertising can drive the less sophisticated buyer crazy, because you actually have to test constantly, and you just have to bite the bullet on this one. It's test, test, test. It's part of Facebook life. Just like they're changing the platform all the time, you need to be changing and measuring and improving your stuff all the time. And you're with me here, and you're committed to success, or else you wouldn't be here. So that's not a big deal necessarily, but you need to know that that is the way the game is played. And you do want to check on these ads daily. So kind of alluding to that, that's the platform, right? So not staying on top of the changes, you have to. There's really no way around it. They're a publicly traded company. They're changing quickly. They're trying to keep eyeballs on their website, and keeping people engaged, because they know that they have a limited life cycle on the product that they're offering, and so they change their terms and conditions from time to time. And you have to stay on top of this stuff, because we've had ads where we're running and we're just totally doing awesome. We changed one of our variables. Next thing you know, we were getting shut down. Find out we're in the middle of the terms and conditions. We did something wrong. Said, hey, when did that change? Oh, that changed last week. Oh, well, we didn't know that, but now we're shut down. Oh, now we have to fix that. So, we want to make sure you are aware of that first and foremost, that it's something that needs to be monitored and managed, but also just that can happen, and how to prevent it. And so, to prevent it, you get in there, use it daily. Don't be afraid to make mistakes. That as long as you're not doing anything like ridiculous, they work with you to help you fix it. It's just just annoying to get your ads shut down and stuff like that. never hurts to stay on top of industry blogs, right? There's a lot of good folks out there in the Facebook space, and we stay up on top of them. We read them on a regular basis, and we're actually friends with a lot of them. And so, just kind of keeping your head in the game, never a bad thing. And ultimately, this is a big tip, and you probably want to write this one down. You want to give your ads 2 to 3 days to optimize. And what that means is that the ads are typically performing the longer they run. So, a lot of times you'll run an ad and you're like, I can't believe how much per click I was paying for that thing. But then a week later, it kind of settles into a groove, and that's just how the ad algorithm works. And things are starting to go well. And so if you are too quick with the trigger finger, or you're coming at this from the wrong mindset, you may miss out on the ad potential. So. Now this one, this is enough to drive a native web person such as myself insane, right? If you're using poor graphics and poor copy, and just as an aside, poor coffee would probably get me more rankled than poor copy, but I guess it depends how much coffee I've had. So. You miss a strong reason to click. I mean, everything is about measurement, and everything's about direct response, and everything's about a strong call to action, right? So, I mean, if you use a bad image and you don't have good copy there, then you might have disapproved ads, or maybe they're either disapproved by Facebook, or maybe they're disapproved by people who you market. Either way, this is bad. So. Reason to click is it's internet marketing, direct response marketing, one-on-one. So those are the mistakes. I want you to avoid those, and we're going to talk now on more of the positive end of the coin about how to grow your audience, how you can enjoy a bigger list. We love lists, right? We know that email marketing gives us an average ROI of 4,300%. I want a bigger list, right? We also know that email marketing typically is a higher ROI than social media, usually statistically at least 3 times higher. And we want to create more sales. So if we're going to use social media, we want to do it to build assets in our business or drive sales. So an audience is an asset, a bigger list is an asset, and more sales, that's an asset as well. Okie dokie. So building a bigger audience, introduced you to this term a little bit ago, cost per impression. And the average cost you have to pay for 1,000 impressions on your ad is the costs. That's where CPM comes from. And an impression is, hey, we served your ad. It shows up. And so here's a couple examples of them, or I guess I'll show you in just a second. Optimized CPM here is, the Facebook, they'll actually optimize your targeting based on your objectives. And so that's actually really cool, if this fits your scenario. And so good examples, if your goal is to get page likes, they'll serve your ad to people, and people are more likely to like your page. And so there's some pros to it. One of the pros is that it's good for exposure, just kind of to build awareness, right? It's a brand awareness campaign thing. It's good for eyeballs, and it's good to get your name out there, so to speak. And so here's a couple brands that guaranteed everybody here knows who these people are. There's Hillary over there on the right, talking about whatever Hillary's talking about, and then of course Coca-Cola, right? And I will reserve judgment on the quality of both of those products and let you have your own judgment on those. But that's CPM. So awareness campaigns, right? Very traditional marketing situations, and the cons of it. And why a lot of times it's not our first go-to maneuver here in the direct response world is that it's not really accountable. And if there's anything that's going to drive all of the folks here on this webinar insane, it's unaccountable marketing, unaccountable anything. And people can just scroll right past it and it still dings your wallet. So that's not always fun. Now here's one though that I get pretty excited about. And this is all about buying leads. So as far as building a bigger audience goes, buying leads is awesome, right? We kind of mentioned that email marketing on a regular basis, it gives you 4,300% return on investment. Pretty awesome. But when you buy your leads, you can build your list, which is a huge problem that a lot of people have. It's like, how do I build my database? Well, here's a way we can do it. You can do it through the opt-in form within Facebook, which is just awesome because the platform will auto-populate with your name and your email and all this other stuff. And with Facebook lead ads, you oftentimes have this increased conversion rate versus some of these other types of ads. And this is kind of how it works. The Facebook lead ads process, you set up and run your Facebook lead ad, and then people will come in here and click your ad to opt in, and then the list is generated and it's actually stored over at Facebook. So let's say maybe once at the end of the day or whatever, you have to export and import it into your CRM. So whether you're doing the iContact, Infusionsoft, Aweber, or whatever that is, it's still a heavily manual process, but you're building your database there. And there's also some third-party middleware software that I can't really speak to because we've only used a couple of them with varying degrees of success, but you can actually automate some of that. And at the end of the day, this could be a really good thing. You build your list pretty fast this way. You have high conversion rates most of the time, and we actually have a little case study here of how we gained 435% growth. And this is our list growth there, and you see in December to January there was under 500 people, and then we just cranked this thing up, and before you knew it, on this particular list, we had over 435% growth in 90 days. And so we went from under probably 300 something, under 500 there, to well over 1,500 and still going strong. And it's cool because you can kind of feather the accelerator here. You can do a 90-day sprint and say, how big can I grow my list? And then say, you know what, I want to focus somewhere else for the next quarter and kind of milk this list a little bit and stuff like that. It gives you an asset to kind of play with. And like with anything, there's some drawbacks too. So I mentioned the drawback. It's kind of labor intensive. There's software can do it for you, and sometimes it's good and sometimes bad software. So I'm just gonna kind of navigate that. My hunch would be that Facebook would probably come out with some kind of API and some integrations at some point with some of these places, but who knows? So the next scenario and the next way to use these ads is one of my favorites is to drive more sales. And so e-commerce situation, this is awesome. Authorship on Amazon, this could be pretty awesome. And this is really your pay-per-click approach. And so, a lot of different ways you can do this. Like I said, you could send people directly to products. If you want to build your audience, you can do it in a pay-per-click manner. You can send traffic anywhere, basically within the Facebook terms. So, I mean, you can't do certain things like in certain trading platforms and stuff like that. Like if you're in you just got to read the terms. And the cool thing here is you only pay when people click. And so here's an example with an event to try to put some imagery to this. You're promoting an event, and so you can see here that these folks were doing an event. It was a singles special event type thing, and I love how transparent it is. They decided to do a daily budget there, and they had all these different results for different ads that we were running for them. And so if you look there, on one of the ads got 718 clicks itself, and it reached a certain, about 7,400 people, and it cost 45 cents. And so, that's like a 10% conversion almost of ads being shown to people clicking and stuff like that. So you can start to go numeric on this and start to measure, and so it's pretty cool. They got a total of 3,800 clicks there in about a 3-week period of time, and exposure to almost 40,000 people they didn't have exposure to prior. Now here's one that we added in the last minute for a couple of you guys. This is one about promoting a book, and so this is actually sending traffic directly to Amazon purchase page for a book promotion. And so you can see there, took a while to spend on these and get it down, but look how many website clicks we had. I mean, we were getting in front of 215,000 people on that one up top there. And we're doing it 7 cents a click. That's pretty cool. I think the town I live in only has 150,000 people. So we got in front of more people than live in my town and got them to click. We got like a third of the town to click over onto the book promotion. So I think that's pretty awesome. Now another scenario that you can use PPC, and this is where you start getting creative, is to generate phone calls. And so like for your service provider, there's a couple different methods you can use. And so one of them is just straight up advertising. Just call for your free quote, right? Use your CTA is actually your contact us, and then just send them to your contact us page, right? So I mean that's just brute force. Boom, I'm out in front of you, and it never hurts to try, right? And then you can start incentivizing them, start playing around with that and stuff like that. Now another way to do it, and we're going to get a little bit more advanced here, is to use pixels to retarget and follow your leads. And we'll talk about pixels a few times here, but a pixel is a little piece of software that Facebook generates, and then you start to place them throughout your website. And so you do need a webmaster that understands how to do this type of thing. It's really easy to do, and if you're computer savvy, you can do it yourself as well. And what it does, it helps close that loop, and we'll talk about this in greater detail here in a few minutes, but a pixel will allow you to like retarget and follow your leads. And so retargeting is that thing where you go and look at a shoe on Zappos.com, for instance, and if you like Nike free runs, all of a sudden it seems like every website you go to is showing you something about a Nike free run shoe or something that looks similar to what you want. That's retargeting. So you can start to do that yourself, and so you create a special ad campaign for people who have come to your website, and that actually kicks off the first domino. So if you have a good traffic strategy that's going on somewhere else, you can leverage it with Facebook by pixeling that place and then keep out in front of them. So remind them to give you a call, set their appointment, stuff like that. And you can see there, like, you do the brute force thing, like, hey, have you called to schedule a consultation? Or you can kind of do, incentives and stuff like that. And another way to generate phone calls or generate traction with a service-type business is to use a Facebook lead capture ad. And so this is pretty cool because instead of making them call you, you can call them. And so, capture the prospect phone numbers and tell them you'll call them within 48 hours, for instance. Have your sales team export your list and, call people and set up appointments and stuff like that. So there's a lot of cool stuff you can do. The pros are that it's easy to manage and understand the ROI. It's a quick feedback loop. We love PPC from a traffic testing phase of the game because that feedback loop can help you really get your messaging dialed in. And the cool thing, you're protected. You only pay when somebody clicks. Now the cons, we've kind of spoken to this, are it's expensive if you're doing it wrong. Paid traffic is always expensive if you're doing it wrong, and it's time consuming to optimize. And I'll walk you through how to kind of approach this thought process here in a little bit. But we have to want to keep expensive is not bad if it's an investment that's spitting out returns. Expensive is bad if you're just throwing money away with no hope to see that money come back. So since one of the most important things you can do is put good stuff out there. I want to cover with you what a good ad looks like, and a lot of this is going to be conceptual, not super example based, but more procedural, I guess. And so what you want to have in a good ad, of course, are these four components. And so you want to have copy, right? Copy always matters. Graphics, audience, and a landing page. And so when you're putting together a Facebook ad copy, you want to make sure that you know what the description of your product and service looks like. So what's the purpose of your product? What's it do? How's it work? How's it used? What's the price of your product? How much does it cost? And then, in 50 words or less, what are you offering? Or maybe another way to think about things, where are you sending traffic to, right? So you want to know your price, you want to know your offer, and then you want to kind of play around, like, what's going to be the sizzle here, right? Is there a special introductory savings? Is there some kind of premium? Is it a limited time offer, 2-for-1 sale, et cetera, et cetera? And in that example earlier that we were showing with the project of where people are sending people to a particular event, it's an event. So one of the things about the offer is that it is limited time because you're either coming on Saturday night or you're not. And so one of the keystone exercises that we always talk about around here with our clients is the features and benefits exercise. And if you see me on YouTube, you see me kind of taking people through a 10-minute version of this and all this other stuff. But it's selling the sizzle and not the steak, because your customers, your potential customers out in the traffic stack area, your potential lead pool, all they care about is the benefits. So like, meet them at their problem. What will what you're doing do for them? What specific problem are you going to solve for them, and how will it make them or save them money if you're in the business space, right? How will it save time or save them work? How will it make their life easier or better? How will it either help them avoid pain or give them gain? So you want to think through what are the benefits of what you're doing, and if you haven't gone back and done an exercise like that recently, you may be caught up in your own language, your own thinking, and it would behoove you to spend some time getting clear on that. Whether you're even going to do Facebook ads or not, that's a good exercise to always go through. And then, this is a huge one, and hopefully worth the price of admission itself. But what's the hidden benefit? What is that thing that somebody can't get anywhere else that you offer? Why is your thing new, better, or different than what's already out there? And maybe there's like specific language that your industry uses that nobody else does, or maybe specific language that the people you're targeting does that nobody else uses. So, if you're targeting, Lord forbid, the biz op, you talk about making money from home, right? But if you're targeting a sophisticated business owner, you talk about, creating assets and passive income and, capital. So, both functionally might make you money from home, but the discussion that you're having there, benefit-wise, is completely different. That's the point of that example. And so, then you move into your graphics, right? So it supports your entire talk track, your entire language that you're using, because remember, you're trying to meet people in that conversation they're already having in their head. So a good image is one that you can look at and boom, you understand what the product or service is. And simple is better, typically, but it needs to draw somebody's attention. So like, if all of your competitors have beautiful images, try an ugly image. Try to snap people out of their ad blindness. And here's actually looks like a very delicious burrito, but this is the 20% rule, and so images can only have 20% text, and that's what this is demonstrating. So ads that have too much text, they will be denied, and so gets a little tricky, depending on what you're trying to communicate there. So brevity, brevity is beautiful in this situation. So burritos are delicious. Click here, right? Now, the interesting thing is that this is one of those policies that you just have to stay on top of. And so if you have more than 20% text, sometimes they'll shut you down and get you denied on that, or sometimes it'll affect your ad costs and all this other stuff. So what that indicates to me is that at the time of this creation, this is the 20% rule, but it's probably not a hard and fast rule. It's probably the type of thing where they're always evolving and trying to, as much optimization as we're doing on our side that we're talking about right now, Facebook's a billion-dollar company who's doing a lot more even. So, they're optimizing their platform. If they find out that they can sell ads for more money and make Wall Street happy with a 22% rule, they'll do that. And so you can use this tool there in Facebook and as part of the platform called the Facebook Overlay tool to ensure that your image is safe and it adheres to that. And so they really do want you to, they're trying to set you up for success here. And but you got to know kind of what you're dealing with. And so you review the advertising policies and test. I mean, that's really the key. You just got to throw stuff out there and see how it's going. And so then you want to consider things like who are you advertising to graphics-wise, gender, age, location, demographics that are applicable. Some places are very location independent, but very age specific. Other places are age non-specific, but location specific. So you just gotta know what you are, and you know your business best, and then kind of have an idea of who else likes this stuff. And so that's really how the audience works too, right? Like, what are your customers' biggest concerns, the fears, the attitudes, possible objections, and what what type of pain, avoidance, or trying to go for gain magnetism do you appeal to? And so Then from there, you want to think about, okay, here's my audience. Now, who are your secondary prospects? And so, like, are there enough of them to versionalize the copy so that you can offer appeals more directly to them? So instead of targeting skiers, maybe you're targeting skiers of a particular ski area. Or instead of targeting golfers, maybe you're targeting, you know, left-handed golfers. And it's also interesting as you're trying to figure out who your Facebook audience is, if you have a list. So if you already have an email database list and you're sending them offers and interacting with them, which you should be doing. If you're not doing that, you need to start doing that. You know, have you tried promoting this list in the past? And you're going to have a feedback loop and a lot of built-in institutionalized knowledge about that. And kind of straight to that, or building on that point, you know, the question that never hurts to ask is who else is selling something similar to you and how are they doing it? And are your competitors on Facebook already? How are they attracting followers? Because if you can't find any competitors on Facebook already, one of two things: either you're a pioneer and you're about to just kill it there, crush it, whatever you want to call it, do very, very well, or perhaps that's not the place where your audience is looking. So that's kind of how that works there. And so the Facebook landing page then, at the end of the day, you need a place to send your traffic. And landing pages and conversion optimization on landing pages is its own ball of wax. And so there's so many different landing pages out there and so many different applications of it. For the purposes of this discussion, it's just where are you sending people to, right? Because it could be Amazon, could be your e-commerce store, could be your squeeze page, could be a video, could be any variation of these things, could be a blog post. And that's actually, you know, if I can give you a little content tip, if you have some deeper blog posts that really demonstrate some knowledge and some value there and stuff like that, great way to buy traffic is to send people to those blog posts. And then from there, you can start doing the pixel stuff that I talked about earlier and kind of get people into an awareness campaign and eventually into your funnel. And so when I share this information with people, we had some specific questions, of course, about stuff, but really you can almost boil down all of the questions into these two things. And I think it's interesting because, you know, you think about what matters doesn't change and what changes doesn't matter. And, you know, these are common questions for Facebook ads, but really they're common questions for your marketing in general. And, you know, marketing, you know, depending on the approach that you take, you know, starting with the one on the bottom, how do you ensure you're not throwing your dollars away? I would encourage you, whoever you're working with for your marketing, to ask them how they know that you're not throwing dollars away. I'll share with you in a moment how we ensure that you're not throwing dollars away, but whoever you're working with, I think it's very important that you understand that you're not just throwing stuff against a wall, but you're actually treating this as a science that it is. And the other important question, how do you know your return on investment? And so these are both very, very good questions, and a lot of marketing places like to dance around these, and I find that very interesting and suspect. And so I come back to our buddy Peter Drucker here about what gets measured gets managed. And, you know, he wasn't the 20th century's best management guru for nothing, right? So there's really some things that you want to think about when you're answering the questions of, you know, how do I make sure I'm not throwing my money away? How do I make sure I'm creating a return on investment? And, you know, the first one is you have to manage your own expectations. You know, marketing is a science, and marketing is necessary to build awareness and to bring people into some type of sales funnel that you can measure and improve from. But you also need to manage your own expectations. And what I mean by that is that, you know, nobody here can wave a magic wand and go from 0 to the most amazing high ROI campaign in the next 24 hours. There is a process, and the process involves failure and success and failure and success, and it is a process getting to success. And so anybody who's selling you on like an overnight solution or a silver bullet, or, you know, whatever you want to call that, they're probably just lying, is the truth of it. And so, you know, how do you achieve ROI? It's all about going through the process and measuring so that you can find your profitable sources. And it's also about risk management, right? Like, you need to set a floor and understand what you're getting into. So first, manage your own expectations, knowing that if you have no business today on the internet, or you have no lead pool on the internet, that it's going to take some time and some effort to get there. And also, on the risk management process, that you're going to need to set yourself a runway. So you're going to need things like, how long am I willing to test this particular thing out, and what are how do I know where my cutoff point is? What's my runway to get this going, and stuff like that. And any new marketing initiative is like that, and any new initiative at all in your business is like. So you really got to do a gut check and see if what we're looking at doing here is a good fit for you. Now, what we found works from a process standpoint, and to stay pretty tight on the measurement scale, is a weekly review of KPIs. So we work with each individual customer, each individual portfolio company, and we look deeply at, okay, what are those measures of success? And I'll show you an example one here in a second. And then folks who we help on this type of thing, we will actually do a bi-monthly strategy call, because we'll give you an example. We've been working with a doctor who originally we were sending a bunch of stuff down into a particular sales funnel in his practice, and we realized that one part of the sales funnel was not the best place to go, but it was better sending somebody to another piece of the sales funnel. And then from our strategy, he changed some things that were working on his end, and he saw some stuff, and we came together on a strategy call, and we compared numbers, we compared notes, we compared philosophies, and we realized that the next thing we needed to improve was the copy on the ads, the images on the ads. This is all starting to sound familiar, stuff that we talked about today. And so the strategy is very important. And so as you do Facebook advertising, you want to really take a collaborative, open measurement approach on these things. And you want to be always weekly testing at least one variable. So good variables to test include audience targeting, testing same copy, different image, different copy, same image, type of ad, stuff like that. And as you get things cranked up and get more sophisticated with this, if it's going well, you start doing advanced multivariate testing and some pretty cool stuff. And the whole thing comes down to closing the loop. So you always have to do that daily review that we talked about. And make sure that that process is being followed. And whether it's you or it's somebody in your business, the process gets created and is adhered to. And so things you want to do on your landing page are use that Facebook pixel to track the page visits and conversions. And so that way, if your ads are working but you have a low conversion rate, you may need to update the landing page itself, right? You kind of know where things are going, and you just keep iterating on it, and you think that back to that spiral that I showed you really early on in this presentation. So it's all about test, 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 and what you want to do to never fail is this measurement improvement. So you create this listening architecture, I heard it called, and I really liked how that was said, because it's probably better to call it a seeing architecture, though, because you're systematically seeing and visualizing what people are doing. And what we're talking about here is that multi-source tracking. So you make sure that Google Analytics is set up on all your pages. You make sure that Facebook Analytics and the pixels are all set up. And then now you can start to get those two platforms to communicate with each other, and you get a great idea of what's actually happening, and that's how you create the feedback loop. And so Facebook tracking, pixels, it's on your website, you get your following going, now you can start retargeting people, staying in front of them everywhere. It seems like you're all over the place. And then you can start to do these really exciting things. You can create a lookalike audience, and so you can start to take the audience that Facebook knows likes you already, and then Facebook will actually say, what if we create another audience that's similar to those but you haven't had access to, and so on and so forth. And so this is where I was going back to, if you have the asset of a list in your database, your email database, if you have at least 500 people, which, I mean, if you don't have 500 people, you need to be working with me so I can help you get way past that. But the 500 people in your database, you can create a lookalike audience. So now you can leverage one piece, one asset in your business, your database, put it over in a lookalike audience, and start to target these people. And it's cool because it matches, right? You find, there's certain types of avatars, and so it's just math. It takes 500 people or more of your people, finds 500 more of them, 500 more, 500 more, 500 more, and just builds this huge audience that you can go to, and they're already liking what you have to do. And so they like talking to you. They want to hear from you. And the biggest thing is, make sure, we talked about this, Google Analytics and Facebook tracking pixels, tie everything together, and that way you can actually see all this. And so I think this is really important for the business owner who's time-strapped and maybe cash-strapped, or maybe not. I hope not. But you're looking to grow, right? And so small business owners, if you get back an extra hour, they did a survey recently. I don't know if this was National Federation of Independent Businesses or who this was, but basically an extra hour in your business is worth $273. So that's how much, if you were doing this yourself an hour a day, you need to make sure that you're paying yourself that much. And because every day you're measuring these things, right? You're going to measure average cost per click, total website clicks, total page views. You're going to check in your opt-in page, make sure it's viewed, check in your opt-in success page, and check on your conversion rate. And so those things all need to be tracked and looked at every day, and you got to change the ad up and do all this other stuff. And so the approach that we like to at least put out there, some people are ready for it, some aren't, is to do what you do best and hire out the rest. And so, what if we could save you an hour a day on one side, from doing all this complicated stuff, but on the other side, you're spending more time with clients and stuff like that. And I think it's important to really think in those terms, because rich people buy time and poor people sell time. And so if you're caught in the service loop of service delivery and stuff like that, one of the ways that you buy time is to buy leads and have other people help you out with stuff that you can't really do that well, and really, when in doubt, automate it out. Huge proponents of automation over here. And so regardless of the approach that you're going to take, when you're getting started, you want to provide or make sure that you know your Facebook credentials, set up your administrative access to whoever's helping with this. You're going to need a Facebook page for your business. You can create one this afternoon if you don't have one, so don't worry about that. You want to be clear on your goal, and so are you doing pay-per-click? You're doing awareness, trying to capture leads. What are you trying to do here? And then you want to come to the table. You spend some time getting your ad copy done, get your graphics done, get your landing page set up, and it kind of goes without saying, but if you don't have any of these, we can obviously help you with these. And then I think this is probably the most important part of the whole thing is make sure your expectations are in line. There's no such thing as magic here. You need a runway, and you need time to test and optimize this stuff. And we won't work with anybody unless they commit to a minimum of 6 months, because it just doesn't work. It doesn't work because there's not enough time. It doesn't work, in their side, there's not enough time to see the results, and there's not enough time to optimize stuff. So you need a runway, and you need to know your target audience and avatar. You need to know your competitors. You need to know the lay of the land for yourself. Other resources, your marketing collateral that's worked. If you have a book would be great. Website, your list, all this other stuff. The more you can provide us, the more we can provide you. And there it is at the bottom. I tell people this all the time. The more you give me to work with, the more I can give you. Because working with anybody, it's always a very collaborative effort. And so, the more social proof and relationship enhancers that you have, the more testimonials and endorsement, if you know taboos about your industry, what are your guarantees, what's your brand story, all this stuff about having a good marketing situation is really what you need to get started on Facebook and do it right. And so, importantly, you want to have an ad budget, how much you can spend daily, weekly, or monthly basis. You need to have a valid credit card so that Facebook can ding your credit card. So it's kind of just like, keeping your ducks in a row and stuff like that. And again, it's about doing what you do best and hiring out the rest. We're here trying to help 1,000 entrepreneurs dominate their markets using the internet. And that's what I do. That's why we're all here together. And so it's all about these 3 simple rules in life. If you don't go after what you want, you'll never have it. If you don't ask, the answer will always be no. If you don't step forward and take some type of action, whatever is right for you right now, you're always going to be in the same place. And so, are we a good fit? The answer is we don't really know. Before I share something with you here, I want to know that you're committed to your business, that you're as committed to your business as I would be to working with you and your business. And so, otherwise, it's just not worth anybody's time, right? Don't waste my time until you're ready. I'd rather just work in my portfolio companies in the meantime. So if you are ready, though, a couple questions that you really want to ask yourself, and a couple expectations you want to have in, right? Is it instant ROI? No. But is it eventual ROI? Of course. Do you have a runway to work with? In other words, are you the type of person who understands why it might take 6 months to get something like this working the way that everybody wants it to? If you don't understand that, I'm not sure if you're ready. And more importantly, I mean, do you have a proven working business model right now? And are you offering value to an audience? If you answer no to this, I can't help you right now. Now, does your product or service have something unique to it? If you're selling the same thing as everybody else, probably can't help you either, right? So much of what we talked about today was about how are you unique in the marketplace. This is important, do you understand that the internet's not a get-rich-quick scheme? Do you understand that it takes investment to build a profitable business? So, as long as you said yes to those, then we're good. And, budget, it's something that people don't think about, and it's something that, if we were to work together, I want to know that you have thought about that, because marketing costs money, websites cost money, guidance costs money, and you have to commit to this type of thing if we're going to work together. So, I want to know that you're committed, obviously, and here's what I would like to share with you. It's 100% risk-free, because ultimately we won't give you access to anything we have over here if we don't think it'll help you, and you basically have an easy decision to make. Good news, easy decision. So here's what I would like to do. If you think it's a good fit for where you are right now, is go to internetsalesstampede.com/meet and claim a Sales Stampede strategy session. What'll happen when you go over there is basically a member of our team will call you within 24 hours, and they'll set up a discussion. They'll ask you a couple questions, but basically you and I will set up a time, and we'll have a brief discussion about you and your business. And the promise that I make to you is that I will treat you like my highest paying customer in this discussion. And the whole thing is that I want to learn more about you and your business. I want to share some things that we have going on over here and see if anything lines up. And regardless, I want to leave you better than I found you, because my mission is to help entrepreneurs grow. And so if you go to internetsalesstampede.com right now, and I'd like to see you over there, /meet, here's what it looks like. Let me show you here. You'll go to internetsalesstampede.com /meet, and you'll see this guy here, and you'll be able to set up the opportunity for us to discuss. And so you'll be able to continuously gain access to the people who are searching for you to solve their problems right now, right? Well, let's get you that perfect combination of qualified traffic, increase conversions, and really, we want marketing that delivers those profitable results. So let's drive more demand for your products and services, optimize your conversions, help you stay ahead of your competition, and really just get everything working into a single marketing system. So you come over here, you put in your name, your email address, your website URL, your phone number, and I want to know one thing that I should know about you. And then when you come over there, you'll get a phone call from one of our staff members and one of our ambassadors, actually, and they'll say hello to you, kind of get to know you a little bit, and then from there we'll chat. So it's internetsalesstampede.com /meet, and I'll look forward to chatting with you real soon if this is a good fit for you. Otherwise, would love to hear your feedback on the webinar. It's always an honor and a privilege to interact with all you folks. Keep up the good work out there, and I will talk with you real soon.